everybody, and welcome to our patch note review. And it's myself here with Endormi, and Golden Saucer Guy's our special guest today.
Hey, how's it going?
And I think we're just going to hop straight into the patch notes right away.
Yep.
So, with the first thing on the list, new features. You get to have the option of no longer fading out of the chat. So that'll be nice. Just sometimes it's a little annoying, going and clicking the button, popping it back up over and over again. It's not a big feature, but just something little.
Yeah, just let's go straight to the general because that's just nice, but...
Yeah. So anyway, onto the general. Troops no longer incorrectly retain the animation indicating they cannot perform actions. I'm not exactly sure what that is.
Oh yeah, it's the summoning sickness. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing that a few times. I thought that was weird.
Yeah.
Something would still have it the second turn after it came into play.
Yeah, they could attack, but it's just the animation was there, the foggy stuff. So yeah, it's a bug fix.
Just a little visual fix.
Yeah.
Alright, the axe animation no longer stays on a champion when a troop is removed from combat before the end of combat. What is that axe animation that they're talking about?
It's in
I
your
don't know,
champion.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's in your champion. When a troop attack you, it gets like a laser pointing to your champion. And in your champion there's a big like a little axe that means that you're getting attacked.
Oh, so it's that arch that they're talking about?
Yeah, it's just no, not the arch, but there's a little axe on your champion when that arc is going to your champion. But it's just a visual bug too.
Yeah,
So.
just a visual bug again.
Yeah.
But it didn't actually change any gameplay.
Nope.
Chat options menu is no longer automatically open on the main screen when logging into the game. Alright. Cards that transform no longer continually try to recalculate. That'll be nice, because that was actually a big distraction. Every time something would transform or revert, it would just be tension the whole time.
Yeah, it was super annoying.
It would last the whole game.
It didn't just go away after a little while either. It would do it the rest of the game. It was kind of silly.
Yeah. So next up, Ardent Champions now display the correct text for their faction. What is an Ardent Champion?
I think the other champions are the champions that are good, which is a human, self, orcs, and other guys. Yeah, there's a little icon on every card showing which faction it is, but it's just sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was some guy in the forums that was complaining that his Ardent Champion deck wasn't working correctly.
Yeah.
Alright. Players can no longer name a deck with unsupported characters, so I'm assuming you can't use the alt codes and make crazy names. That's whatever.
Yeah.
Tooltips and card manager now trigger correctly.
Yeah, it's probably that if you click the card, for example, you click the cocoon, it just shows the giant butterfly, or if you kill the other two chosen, or in the specter names, it probably pops again. I'm not sure of that. It's probably that.
Yeah, that's probably what it means. Alright. Threshold icons now display the correct wording. What was...
I have no
I'm
idea.
assuming if you just hover over the thresholds, they show you what they mean? Is that what that is?
I guess. I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is either. It just sounds like a bunch of visual bug cleanups.
Yeah, it just seems like they're fixing a lot of real minor stuff at the moment.
Yeah. Collection scroll bar. No longer scrolls bar on the collection. So that's actually pretty nice for the deck manager. They used to have the scroll ball go all the way down the client instead of sticking to the actual thing.
Most of the scroll bars were that way.
It was a minor annoyance.
Yep.
Hitting enter while searching for cards in the card manager will no longer open the chat window. That's nice. Another minor annoyance fixed.
Yeah. That's super nice, really.
Yeah. Scroll bar in the gem selection windows working again. That's nice because you could actually not scroll down to the gem that you wanted at some points I found.
Yeah.
So that's,
yeah, that'll be a decent fix.
You actually couldn't use like the bottom 2 gems, I think it was, in certain resolutions.
Yeah, I was playing. It was some patches ago, but I had to play in a certain resolution to play Shards of Fate. It was a little bit annoying.
Yeah, I had to go out from being windowed to full screen just to get a gem selected for a deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's silly. Alright, the visual effects on resource counter have been improved. I'm assuming they just upgraded where your threshold is and all that. Or just your resource counter in general, where it says the 4 out of 4 or whatever.
Yeah. We'll see when we go into a game.
An updated tournament lobby layout. I'm interested to see how that looks. Because the one right now was probably kind of
I can
meh.
probably tell you right away because there was one spot left in seal, so I just hop in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so far out of the list, that's the biggest one I've seen. I mean, that's to have a nice, a prettier setup that makes probably a little bit more intuitive and a little bit better working would be kind of nice.
Yeah, this general part, in general, is just like not too much exciting stuff. Once we get to the new cards and the gameplay, it'll be what you're really looking for in the patch.
Yep.
But we're just going over everything anyway.
Yeah, it's good to be thorough.
Yeah. Volume master setting, not correctly saving, so you don't have to move that every game. You can restore the setting defaults and the options. That's whatever. Players with special characters in their computer's username will no longer be prevented from seeing card images. I didn't know that was a thing, but
Yeah, good for
I
the
guess
people that
that's
have
a good
issues.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Players will no longer receive an intermittent servers down message. I'm
Yeah,
not
happened
sure
to
when
me.
that showed up, but that
Yeah,
happened
I
to you.
have no idea what that problem came from. It just seems like probably something that a few people are having, so it made the list.
Oh yeah. All right. The activity timer should no longer go down in a state where it causes the players to get a defeat early during a game. So I guess some people were getting zeroed out and losing to time when they shouldn't have been, and
Yeah,
they're just
I
fixing
think
that.
it's probably the Exodia pack that we encounter that you just lost randomly or you win randomly. It's probably because that.
Oh, oh yeah. That'll be a nice fix then.
I don't know if it's that yet, but if it is, that fix will be really nice.
Resources can now appear in the void, so you just know how many are there or which ones are there or whatever if somebody voids some resources.
Yeah, I mean,
Guess
there's
you used to
obviously
not
nothing right
see.
now that pulls any of that stuff back, or then there's no reason to really measure them being in the void. But I can see it being helpful to actually give a count. So if you're looking to get a nice deck count of how many resources they might be out of, or how many you've removed, or what they've lost, then I could see it being
Yeah.
used.
Or like how many resources does your opponent run if they use their Demented Demolisher or something like that.
Yeah.
You can just see how many it is. Players can now chat in tournament lobby. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest one we've had in the list so far, no doubt.
I
Yeah,
don't know
that'll
if
be
it is
nice.
going to make it to the alpha though, or to the beta.
I wonder if they're going to have a certain lobby just for chatting with the other 7 people that are in your tournament, or if that just means that you can chat to everyone in general chat at the same time.
Yeah, I'm not sure about it. I think it's probably just for the people in your tournament.
Yeah, I'd imagine even if it's either, I mean, both of those options would be really good for it overall. This way, you won't be sitting in the general lobby looking for a game and then having people trying to get a hold of everyone they're supposed to be in a tournament with.
Yeah, it will be nice. Tournaments have had an optimization pass, and players should be able, I feel like players should have a more enjoyable experience. This is still a work in progress. I have no idea what that means, but I guess tournaments are going to be a little smoother now. There's like no specifics here.
To be fair, I've only finished one sealed so far, and I haven't had good experience with it. So I'm kind of happy that they're at least approaching smoothing it out a little bit in this patch.
Yeah, he has
Yeah.
one more still complete than me at this point, and yeah, but they're probably being baked on purpose. To the thing is the coin flip pack is fixed or not, because that was probably the biggest issue that make tournaments not continuing. So
Does anybody know what an optimization pass is? I don't.
I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see.
All right. Well, that'll hopefully just be a smoother experience overall. Now, duplicate text has been removed from a couple cards, so that'll be just a nice little visual fix. And players are now notified when they get a buy during a tournament, so you don't just have to sit there the whole time wondering if you bugged out, I guess. It'll actually tell you if you got a buy,
Yeah, that's probably
so that'll
going
be nice.
to be really good for people that forfeit and doesn't suck the tournaments either.
Yeah, it just seems like something
Yeah.
that's necessary for tournaments in order to have them run smoothly. Without it, I mean, I had the issue once already before where you just aren't sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, on to the meat of the patch, the new cards.
Yeah.
You already have that pulled up?
Yeah.
All right. So the first one is a 3-cost artifact, and at the start of your turn, you may transform it into an artifact or a non-shapeshifter artifact you control, and it gains this ability.
Yep.
What
This
do you think?
card was nerfed really, really badly because people, when they should preview this card on the Kickstarter, were making infinite combos out of it and winning on turn 2 in
Oh yeah.
PvE. So yeah, because you could just like copy your Lotus and it was just insane.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it having some playability in a few select decks. I mean, even then, I'm trying to think of a quick list in my head of artifacts I would love to copy, but it seems like a nice utility card. Your deck runs off a certain 4 artifacts. Now your deck can run off basically, instead of 4 chances of going for it, you only have to have 1 and then get a copy in order to maintain your engine. Especially against things that running Inquisition right now, where your chance of getting a second one, or maybe getting a few of them, or even I guess Curse, it increases your chances of maintaining your strategy.
Yeah, I do like this quite a bit, from what you said, and also the fact that it gains the ability, so you get to continually switch it out, so you can say copy something that's not quite as good, but you'll still have the ability to copy something better that you can play later on down the road. I think that's going to be really good, and I think this card is definitely going to see some constructed play.
Yeah, I mean, the utility of it is fantastic. You could automatically copy something on the board and use that as a threat for later on. Then you could pull another artifact later on. I mean, even something as mediocre as a bottle could give you an extra card, extra life, extra charge. I mean, there's a whole wide variety of possibilities this card offers now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the thing about the stuff with Super Charge or Bottle or whatever is that you can copy and then just sacrifice the original one. You just keep this one and you then just sacrifice this one or just wait to transform it another way. Because for example, if you have a Void Key or a Super Charge and you copy it, probably your opponent won't play anything that can be removed that way, or that they don't want to be removed that way. It's a
I'm,
little nice there.
I'm wondering if this would copy the actual cost of the card, like it would go down to a 1 cost if you copied your own Sapper's Charge, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
And then if you sacrifice it, you could get it back with the heavy welding bot and still have that ability on it to transform it again.
Yeah, should be able to do that.
That that's a neat little thing.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of ways that this card could get broken in the future, and I'm not even convinced that this will be the wording it'll stick with even still. I mean, I could see them making a couple fixes or cost alterations depending on how it gets played.
I think
Yeah,
the fix that they did it was already okay because before I think it was 5 costed, and instead of himself transforming into an artifact, it just put at the start of your turn you just copy an artifact and put it into play, which was,
mm.
as I said, a little bit too
Yeah,
strong.
that'd be a bit much.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
they
that's
just
that's
never,
pretty bad.
so they never to 3 cost and just it transforms itself. So
All
yeah, I
right.
think it's probably okay. Because there's no much stuff that you can copy that is going to be like in breaking. Not at the start
Yeah,
either way. And if you like,
it'll
for
only be
example,
as. Oh, go ahead.
if you manage to copy like an Argus or an Eternal Guardian, it's most you have to copy something you control, so you cannot copy your opponent. So at that point, it just doesn't matter because you already had the first one. So
And it'll also only be as good as the rest of the artifacts that are in the set.
yeah,
So if there's nothing crazy that's an artifact in the set, it can't even be that great, you know. Um, all right. So is that about it from that card?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't think I
On
have
to
any
the
more.
next one.
Yep.
You have it pulled up?
Yep. Let's pull up.
All right. So Eldon's Distress Signal. It's a 3-mana constant with a 1 Sapphire threshold unique. You can exhaust 3 troops you control and transform it into Eldon the Imprisoned.
Shadow Name Prisoner is this one.
He is a 2/4, and he can't attack or block. But at the end of your turn, if 3 or more troops you control dealt damage to an opposing champion this turn, you transform it into the next iteration, which is Eldon the Liberated. And you can pay 2, and target troop you control gains flight this turn. So he's got a little inner synergy within himself, so you can make sure your troops actually get through to deal the damage by giving them flying. So that's a nice little touch there. But moving on to the next transformation.
Yeah, there it
I
is.
think we should just cover the everything before we
Okay.
talk about the card. He's a 2/4 with flight for himself, and whenever a troop you control deals damage to an opposing champion, you draw a card. And he keeps the flight ability as well.
So the first
So-
thing off is that they completely reworked this card. It was completely different before.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, before it was pretty weird because you had like to choose when you wielded with this card, you had to choose a number, and that was set before the game. And when you draw it, you had like when you draw a card with that cost that you mentioned at the start of the game, it just transformed the first stage, and then again for the second stage, it was quite different.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
I remember a bunch of people talking about how silly that was.
Yeah. But the first things that comes to mind is that it starts as a constant and not as a human, which probably hurts the human deck, for example, because you cannot draw it with the Lord Benjamin, even if you
Oh, yeah.
get it. So that's a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah.
Um,
But it also you can just put it into play and it doesn't die to extinction at the start. So.
yeah, it will be nice for that. But I do want to note having this out and 3 troops in a Sapphire deck is going to be a little awkward just because of Sapphire's troop density is not that high. So you're definitely going to have to run this in a multicolor deck.
Yeah.
I have to wonder if how much this will get play. I mean, I have to admit the second form's ability with the 2 to give target troop flight, that's really not too bad. I mean, even though it's only for this turn, but I mean, I just have to wonder if this is really going to get any use.
Yeah, you have to jump through quite a few hoops before you actually get to the last transformation, which is the only one that is really worth it.
I
the second one-
I disagree there. I think the second one is good enough.
Really?
Yeah, I can see it getting played, but I think I do like the third form. Once you get to the second, I feel like you've already started moving in the right direction, because if it doesn't go off, you're still giving some troops flight. I mean, you have the ability to maybe give them a bonus if they have flight, if something doesn't have flight. It's got options. It's a 2/4, so its stats aren't that terrible. But
it cannot attack or
I
block.
do
though.
like the fact that it can't die to a persecute.
Yeah.
That is definitely nice.
yeah, that
There's
4 defense
also
is
to
pretty
note,
big.
he can actually get all the way to his 3rd stage in 1 turn. If you have 6 troops out.
That's probably the biggest thing about this. I mean, I think when you're looking at cards like these where you have a lot of hoops you have to jump through and need to reach their final transform cost, having it so it's available and not impossible to do or not hard to do is obviously the thing you're looking for as being the best part about it. And I think it's right in that medium range of being not too hard but not terribly easy. So it's definitely got the ability to be played card. I don't know what deck this is going to fit in yet. I mean, I'd be interesting to see what people craft as far as doing something. Competitively, I'm really not sure where this card's going to fall.
I think that right now he only has like some way into limited play or an inspiration deck, because you're really not going to get like more than 3 creatures out in Sapphire.
I think it would actually be
like-
pretty neat to see in a Sapphire Wild Shinhair deck.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's probably also true. The thing is that with this card, the second transformation I think is good enough because making your troops fly, it's pretty good. The third transformation thing is that you have to overextend to get it, because you need at least 4 troops in play, including this one. So your chance of getting, if you're playing against Blood, for example, it's just completely suicide, because you are pretty much destroying yourself. And the third
Yeah, that's what I'm-
transformation is not that great. I mean, drawing a card every time your troops attack is pretty nice, but it's not like, oh, it's Hop Hero, whatever you play, just going to kill it, or the Butterfly that just freezes the board state. So I don't like the third transformation that much. I think it's pretty underwhelming. I think it's pretty good, but compared to the others, it's not as good.
Well, I mean, it's for each creature that deals damage that you draw a card. It's not
Right.
just you draw one card for each combat.
You know,
That can
I think
be a
this deck,
lot.
this card also, I mean, has a lot to do with cards coming up here on our list too. So this, I mean, I don't know if it's a game breaker with its ability either, which is why I'm kind of questioning whether or not it's going to see any good use in constructed or anything like that. But I mean, we'll see. I would love to see how that people are going to use this card. There might be a couple uses that I haven't thought of, or people are going to come up with some really unique ones. But it's still debatable whether or not this will be really good.
I think it's definitely powerful, but it's also definitely niche. Um,
Yeah,
so it won't be overpowered or anything.
yeah, but I still don't like too much of the third transformation because yeah, as you said, you have to. It's for every troop you get, but a mental is pretty much everything else. You don't need to do so much stuff to get it out.
Yeah, I mean, like if you get it out, if you get it through its loops, and if you get some solid attacks through, which I would imagine once you get to the second form and you have flyers that are rolling over, or any creatures that's moving over, and we're also looking at the 3/3 unblockable as a potential card for this. You're looking there's definitely enough cards in blue to make this playable, but when you get to that final form, if you're attacking with creatures and they're not and they have no way of blocking, you're looking at multiple card draw, especially if you're using the blue where you're getting a card draw off it anyway with the blue gem. Then you're looking at a double card draw, which I mean that just sets up your advantage to be pretty huge. But it's a matter of if you get to the first one, if you get to the second, if you have a flyers you can't block, if they don't have any board wipes. I mean, it's definitely got potential.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I said, I like the part that you need to overextend to transform it to the third phase. I mean, the second phase is probably easy enough to get because you can just sacrifice your like your first ones and two drops. For example, you're
Yeah.
playing to sing here, you just sacrifice your two battle hoppers or something like that. If they were
Well, you don't
wiped, then
sacrifice them. It's just an exhaust.
I mean, you overextend with two battle hoppers or something like that, and that's not worth extincting either way. But if you, for
Yeah.
example, play like three ponies to transform it, that's going to be bad. Or like a dreamer and something like that. It's going to be like 4 for 1, which is pretty bad.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to take a look at the next card then?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Lord Adam the Powerful, the third in our list of lords. He's a 4 cost, only a single threshold for diamond. He's a 4/4 as well with steadfast. So those are already pretty good stats. And then what you can do is void Lord Adam, Lord Benjamin, and Lord Alexander, and create the triumvirate and put it into play.
The
And the
triumvirate
triumvirate,
is Caldra pretty much.
yeah, it's flight, speed, steadfast, 9/9. And when it attacks, you draw 3 cards, and then gain 3 life for each card that's in your hand. And then it deals 3 damage to each opposing champion and troop. So it's a lot of things.
Yeah, if it attacks, you win the game pretty much.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that makes this card not broken is it doesn't have spell shield.
I think the other thing is also that you need to be running a tricolor deck.
Oh, I think
And then,
the tricolor deck is okay. I saw it already, and it was okay because all the
Yeah, I don't
champions
mind
are one
running a
press gold.
tricolor deck. That doesn't bother me. I mean, 3 colors, you're looking at single cost for all 3 pieces. The downside would be, I mean, you're looking at a deck where you're trying to pull out 3 of these cards at the right time and have them all stay out without eliminating them. I see the difficulties. It might be worthwhile to focus on a single color and maybe the other splash the other 2 colors for these guys.
Yeah.
Cards.
The thing about it is that Lord Alexander is pretty good by himself, and Lord Benjamin is pretty good by himself, and you are playing either way.
yeah, and Lord Adam doesn't have too bad of stats, honestly.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty underwhelming compared to the other two. That was is my main issue.
Definitely.
It's just a 4/4 with the steadfast, which is not bad, but it's not like must include in every deck like Lord Alexander or Lord Benjamin are.
Now, I think one of the big positives here is you're looking at, Lord Alexander, which is a human warrior, Lord Benjamin, human mage, and then, of course, Lord Adam, which is a human cleric. So we're looking at another human lineup here with all 3 not being that bad. So it's possible you could do a little bit of a human search and possibly pull something out pretty nice here.
Yeah, and if you do get Benjamin out first, he can help you find the other 2.
Yeah.
So that's a nice plus.
Also, the nice thing about it is that Repel doesn't really deal with it because he's already declared attackers, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, you're still able to get off that ability. I mean, you don't hit for the 9, of course, which is a little
But you
painful.
boarded, you wiped his board and gain a bunch of life and draw cards. So yeah, it's still really good.
You can potentially have this card on turn 4 and attacking on turn 4, though. If you go Benjamin turn 2, Alexander turn 3, Adam turn 4, you can void all 3 of them. And this is crazy.
Yeah, the thing is that, for example, if they have like a murder, you just lost the game.
Yeah.
Because you just 3-for-1 yourself. That's super terrible. That's also one of the complaints.
Yeah, so I mean, you wouldn't activate it against murder, you know.
Yeah. Now, can you attack when the turn it comes out? Because in this case, you're
Yep.
you're voiding Lord.
It has speed.
It's got the speed, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. It would have speed. So you're looking at possibly 9, 9, and 4. That is pretty big. I mean, you're looking at like a god hand, of course. But I mean, let's assume for a moment that it doesn't happen until 5, 6, or 7. That's still bigger than a lot of 5s and 6s. Definitely.
Yeah, I think
and the
it's
only
just
real way to deal with it is that murder.
Yeah. As I said, I think just an alternative win condition for the human deck, which is pretty neat. But I would like if the Lord Talon was better.
Yeah, I mean, and you could have it just as like a side win condition. You don't even have to run 4 of the Lord Adam. You can just run like maybe 2 of them and then search it out with Lord Benjamin as you go on. It's not like the focal point of the deck, but sometimes it's like oops, I win the game.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's interesting too.
If
you, let's say for instance, you ripple it back to their hand. I mean, you're looking at a 9-cost card plus the increase from that. So even bouncing it back, killing it. I mean, there's definitely options for removal and such. So
yeah, bouncing it back is pretty good. Yeah, but then Ripple is also devastating.
Yeah, so Time Ripple and Murder, 2 best answers to this card. Because even if they repel it, you still drew 3 cards and gained all sorts of life and dealt damage and killed troops and all that. So
you need to kill it at instant speed or bounce it at instant speed. Because the thing is that it has speed, so that's why it's really good. Because if it didn't have the speed, it was probably just terrible, and you wouldn't even void it never.
yeah, the speed is definitely needed.
Yep.
yeah, I think probably I would have to guess the speed's probably really the best part of this. I mean, it's like once you play it. And even then, I mean, if voiding all those cards, you're looking at if they go to murder any one of your pieces, if you have all 3 out, the void in response would still activate it, thus negating the kill. So
Yeah, that's a chicken game if you have like the 3 pieces and you're playing against Blood. Because they cannot murder any one of them unless they have like another murder in response for the void activation. So that's nice. But the thing is that you cannot transform it either way if you are playing against Blood because you just face a murder in response.
Yeah.
Still, you are on the winning side because you have Benjamin, Alexander, and the other guy.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this card is obviously very exciting. It's got a lot of possibilities. It's a little bit complicated. You don't know how. We'll have to test to see how well it comes off, but it's definitely like a fun card. I mean, even then, I can imagine in like maybe in the future of PvE, this becoming something that people play towards just because of its ability to get that dominance once it hits the board.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in playing around with it.
Yeah. I think it's really similar to Card Drain Magic, where all the pieces are really good by themselves, and if you get them all together, you just go kaboom.
That's an interesting scenario. Actually, now you bring it up before we move on to the next card. I mean, if you have all 3 out, would those are you in a good position to maybe keep those 3 and leave it as an option to transform? Or are you looking to immediately transform into that card, knowing the level of knowing what it does? I mean, is there a case where there might?
Yeah, for example, if they have like mana open and you're playing against blue and black, you probably don't transform it either way. You just hold them, and if they have like if they are tap out, you just play it and destroy him.
Yeah, if they're tapped out, you can pretty much just destroy anyone.
The thing is also is that if you have two of them in play, you can just force them to not tap ever, because at the moment they tap out, you can just play it, and because it doesn't require any extra resources or anything,
Yeah.
you can do it at instant speed. You can just play the third one and just go come on with it and just win that turn. So that this puts him in a really bad spot.
Yes, it's definitely a sweet card.
Yeah. Also, the thing is that it's 9 costed, which means that it gets inspired by everything. If you're playing an inspired deck. And there's one card that is not yet implemented,
Yeah.
but is like huge here, which is the Mirror Knight, which makes that your troops cannot be targeted by anything unless they pay 3 more, which is kind of huge.
Just as another minor point before we move on again, it's interesting too with the 9 cost because if there's not very many 9 cost cards, so if it were to be transformed into another 9 cost card, I mean obviously it's a win-win scenario. But by transforming it another 9 cost card, you could end up seeing this thing hit the board and all of its abilities hitting.
Oh man, I want to play Resurrection and Cosmic Transmogrifier right now.
Yeah,
Oh man,
that would be funny.
that also. I mean, you can also play an Inquisitor and just kill it enough, and then just replay it. That also works.
Yeah. All right. So on to the next card. We see Gearsmith, one that I'm pretty excited about. Not
This
sure if
card
there's
definitely playability.
I'm not sure if there's quite enough support for it yet, actually. But I think there should be. Or he's a 1 cost, 1 Sapphire Threshold, 1/1. And when he enters play, you get to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and you get to put an artifact from among them into your hand, and it gets a permanent cost -1, and then you shuffle the rest of your deck.
I
This
mean,
is-
in the deck they're going to be played is like a cheaper Sensei, and maybe in a better version than a Sensei. So
Yeah. You're definitely going to have to build your entire deck around this guy, and you need a mass of artifacts in order to make it sure it hits pretty much every time.
yeah, the reduced cost is also like really good.
Yeah, I actually did not know that he had that reduced permanent cost on the artifact up until just when we saw the patch notes. I thought he was good enough as it was with just getting an artifact off the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a list of possibilities. I mean, minor ones looking at bottle coming in for 0, or looking at higher ones, you playing a creature that can be played a turn earlier. Or I mean, there's definitely some really good things about this card, and it's definitely playable. The cost is really low. I don't think the stats are really important for him in a 1 cost. Yeah, this is a big card. I mean, late game, early game. I mean, it really has good possibilities.
Yeah, that's what I really like. He's a 1-drop that's still relevant in the late game.
Yep.
That's really what you're looking for from a 1-drop, at least in constructed. For sealed or draft even, I think this guy will actually still be pretty good. More so in draft because you'll be able to actually draft the archetype. But in sealed, he could still be good if you draw a decent number of artifacts in your pool.
Yeah, I mean, he's focusing on very specific decks.
Yeah.
In that deck, he's pretty good. So as you said with the other guy, he's good, but he's niche too. So
Yeah, I think this guy, though, will definitely be a big role player in draft due to the fact that he's common.
yeah, that's also one of the biggest things that is common. You said.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of stuff that is common that I don't really see them as common. That I don't agree too much, but oh well.
Yeah, it's me. I mean, I feel like this card probably should be an uncommon, but even at a common, you're looking at this making blue and sealed very playable. And especially with the ability to look through your decks and that simple of a card, that low cost, obviously the single threshold that goes with a 1 cost card. It's splashable in another color if need be, if you're running heavy on the artifacts. I mean, it kind of makes it feel like artifact almost becomes its own separate color in this case because it makes it such a viable option.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to be making some decks with this guy.
I think that is they are not the quite enough cards yet, so to make it like really good decks.
Maybe. But I'll try.
Yeah, I mean, I have a blue artifact deck already that's going to get rebuilt from probably maybe a little bit from the ground up, or possibly just modified a lot from this card alone.
Yeah, with this and the Doppel gadget that's coming out, or came out.
The thing is that artifacts got like a really nerf, even before the alpha started, like reducing all this stuff to artifacts to dwarf and robots, which make it them just way weaker, and they changed to factory, which was huge. And now we are just getting all the cars, all the good cars, the artifacts. So little by
Well,
little they are
honestly,
getting better and better.
I think it's a good thing that they did nerf some of that, because artifacts being too good is like one of the most dangerous things to make too good, because any deck can play them, you know?
Oh no, the thing is that the synergy was the thing that was like super strong. The bigger thing was the factory,
Yeah.
which was just nuts. You can just destroy them like super fast, and the robot was also super good when you played like turn 3, and that's super good.
Yeah.
And now it's
Well, this will hopefully bring artifacts back to light.
Yeah, you know, I think we needed something to push artifacts back into the mainline as far as making them very viable and very useful. Because we see decks where the artifact could be the bomb at the end, or it could be a little bit of light touch to the deck. Where this card could possibly push artifacts into being a really viable color. The downside, I mean, obviously it's only blue, so you're looking at the very minimum having to make it blue artifact. But it's a great card. I mean, I can't see anything about this card that I don't like at the moment.
Yeah.
yeah, even the art is good.
Yeah, even the art is great.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about that a minute ago. The art from these cards are all pretty good. The only card I don't like is a Triumvirate. I think it looks a little bit silly, but
It's a little cheesy, but
Oh, I love that card. I was searching through the files like some weeks ago, seeing all the images, and when I saw that card, I was like, oh my god, this card is going to be so sick. I don't know what he's going to do, but I know he's going to be sick.
yeah, I actually had no idea what it was, and it makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, no doubt. So I'm excited. So far, as of all 4 cards, I mean, there's not a card that I think I'm not going to try at least a little bit of. I mean, normally I feel like when there's a patch, you're looking at one card that I go, I'm not going to use that. That just seems silly. These 4 cards are all fun. They have nice dynamics to them. They add some interesting things to the game. I mean, look at that the Doppel gadget along with that dwarf. I mean, those two together could be a lot of fun. So there's so many new cards in this one and I feel like in the last week I haven't even had a chance to. I mean, I haven't had a reason to get on, or a good reason to get on to really try anything new. And this patch really gives me some new fun stuff.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. All the cards are really good, and the changes that we will cover in a bit are also pretty good. I'm really excited
Speaking
with
of
this patch.
those,
Yeah.
you want to move on to the gameplay changes then?
Yeah, sure.
Alright, so first up, multiple Mastery of Times played on the same turn now actually give you the multiple additional turns. They did not before. It was just
That's a thing because I believe I lost my fourth round because I accidentally sitting on 10. I wanted to get the 2 turns now and not have to worry about pay for on the second turn, but I knew it wouldn't work, so I ended up moving into the second turn and hoping to basically my Mastery of Time turned into a draw 1 card, live for another turn, and I really needed to play 2, which I had the mana for. So that's actually a big deal, and that changes some things as far as a deck that focuses on Mastery of Time.
Yeah. But there's no mention about the changes to, well, the fix to Grok and Mastery of Time. But that's a little unfortunate.
Yeah, I was really hoping they would fix that because right now, if somebody grokes you, and then of course you don't untap on that turn, but if you Mastery of Time, you still don't untap on your extra turn when you should be untapping.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of issues with Mastery of Time still. This is just one part of many things that need to be fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that the list is this long of gameplay fixes, I mean, we're obviously still in alpha, so I'm happy just to see one small fix even.
Yeah, they've gotten a bunch of fixes this week that I'm pretty happy about.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one on this list that I'm really excited for one on this list. I can't wait till we get to it.
Yeah. All right, next up, Farney, the champion, is now working correctly with created artifacts.
Yeah,
Before you could only use ones that came from your hand. Now you get to use them with, like, if Inspiration Engine makes artifacts or anything like that. You get to use his ability with that.
I still haven't played the champion, so...
Yeah, I don't think he's good enough.
Yeah,
honestly.
I'm happy they had to list it because they did fix it. But again, it seems like there's that one guy on a forum that's probably super excited right now. And outside of that, I don't really know too many people who care.
Yeah, just the fact that his ability costs 5, and he can only target troops and requires an artifact on your side. That's like a pretty expensive artifact because it deals damage equal to the artifact's cost. As I think if he costed maybe 4 instead of 5, he could see some play, but at 5, it's too much.
Yeah, it just...
I'm sure there's somebody's out there with a deck with like 4 of him wondering why their deck isn't good. And I'm like, well, at least it works now.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that, for example, it's just like a stuff like Holy Ambush. that is just like 2 conditional, but the thing is holding ambush just costs 1. So it's not a big of a deal. But this is just 5 charges, super conditional and stuff. So
Yeah.
maybe they changed to make it a little bit more interesting. Don't think better, but I think maybe going another way with the artifact is probably like better.
Yeah. All right. So next up, Incubation Slave no longer retains counters after you sacrifice it. I guess before you would go up to whatever 5 or 6 counters, and then you'd sacrifice it, get all your spider spawns, and then you could actually get back your slave and replay it and sacrifice it again, and it still had all the counters on it. And that
Yeah.
was not what should have been happening.
Yeah, I guess someone discovered that in a sealed, that Call of the Grave he saw on Incubation Slave, and
Yeah.
discovered that, because I see no way people were playing that card.
I've actually I saw somebody playing it in the tournament.
Yeah, I played against one guy that had it like yesterday or so. Well, not yesterday, the day before. But
Yeah.
still, that's not good enough.
It's a fix.
I
that
mean, if
I'm
it gets
happy they
off,
made.
it's pretty funny, but
Right. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, they needed to fix it.
I mean, there was one point that it was really interesting, because I couldn't actually remove it, because he was just sacrificing in response. So,
okay.
that, I mean, I had to waste a murder for him to just get 1 spider spawn. Because it was quite low, but I managed to win that game at the end. But that was quite funny. I was almost locked by the Incubation's life.
Okay, so
Yeah,
next
actually, I
up,
had to look up what the card did just to understand what the issue was, and it took me a second to remember it. So it's one of those cards where I may have used it once.
yeah. Okay, next up, Roselion just got a little bug fix. Its ability was going on the chain before, now it's not. No big deal there. The Mushwalkie's ability now works correctly with sacrifice effects.
But this does not, so forget it, because it's a non-issue. So just let's go to the next one.
Yeah. Oh, my Wishwalkie deck will work right now. Yay.
And it's not. And the Muswalkie works now correctly, and it does not. So it's a
Yeah.
little bit of a bummer.
Yeah, jumping down to the known issues just real quick for the Mushwalkie. It says that his increased stats are only temporary instead of permanent right now, and that's a bug.
Just give him a speed and crush and it's fine.
So, yeah. Need to give him speed and crush for him to be useful.
I
Probably
mean,
just
it will
be
be
creative.
amazing if it was a speed as crush.
Oh man, that card kills me. So. But anyway,
It's
moving
just
on.
turn for kill with the Muswalkie.
So, Dingler now interacts correctly with Honeycap. That's good. And Dingler no longer removes the same effect on all cards within player's deck. So I guess before Dingler was applying to every card with that same name? Or
No, the thing is that the Dingler has 2 parts. First is reverse a card and then transforms into a Dingler.
oh yeah.
So the thing is, for example, if someone had like a Spirit Dance and play like a 4/4 Spectre, and you Dingler the Spectre, all his Spirit Dance troop, his hand and in his deck will get the buff off. So that was just retarded. It also happened with reversion, so I don't know if they also fixed that.
Yeah,
We'll
hopefully.
see. Because the part that was back is the reversion part of Dingler.
Alright. So that's a nice fix.
Yeah.
Next up, Inspire effects now work correctly with cost modified cards.
That's kind of
That's-
big, I think, because I mean, Inspire decks just had so many problems. I think Inspire is a good mechanic. It's got playability, but when you're looking at trying to mix up all these cool Inspire cards and none of them are working correctly because none of them interact well. I mean, this is just one of 2 or 3 fixes that needed to happen to make Inspire decks actually playable.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's just not the Spire, and they just fixed the Buccaneer Time Ripple and Culture Magic. That's where the 3 cards the increased cost was backed. Because the other cards were not backed. Increased cost, like Inquisitor wasn't back. It was just those 3 increased costs, which is probably like 90% of the increased cost of stuff. But it's really nice to see.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Inspire is something that I want to be better than it is, and I was always disappointed when things didn't work. Like, you were so happy to see Victoria come out, and then none of the abilities worked and everything, and it was just disappointing. Then they fixed another thing where it's, she's playable, she can actually drop for 0, And now to fix like the Inspire cost makes me a little bit more interested in playing with Inspire as a mechanic.
Yeah, it'll be nice with the triumvirate as well.
Yep.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
All right, so next up, Survival of the Fittest just had a slight text change. I believe it still acts the same.
No. I mean, the thing
No?
is that you cannot target both of your troops if you want it for
Yeah,
some
your
weird
troops
reason.
can't fight each other now.
Yeah. Which
All right.
the thing is that right now it wasn't like an issue, but for example, if we had like I think it's called what was it? There was an infinite combo in Magic that you need to deal damage to your own creature, so it can life drain and it just go infinite with that. So you cannot
Yeah.
do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah, I
we
mean,
had anything like that in here, but yeah.
right. It's a fundamental rule that your creatures can attack themselves. I mean, in this game and in Magic and in other things like that. So to have that as an option seemed a little silly. Not to mention if you could possibly pull off some weird combos with it. So it's fine that they fixed it. It makes sense. It's really not something that I think is a big deal. Would it be nice to attack my own creatures? Yeah, I'm sure I could find a way to break it. But
The thing is that there was one bug with the survival of the fittest. I don't know if they fixed it. But this has quite happened to me that I had an opponent and just battle. I had a Gabriel in play, and then my opponent make my Gabriel fight my Ballheart, and it
Hmm.
was just what the hell happened here. So I don't know if they fixed that.
Yeah. All right. So next up, Spell Shield is now only active while in play. That's a big
Hallelujah!
one.
yeah,
That
that's
is
so
one
good.
we-
I mean, that's great.
Yeah, we've been wanting that for a while, quite a while. So you used to be able to not counter Spell Shield troops on the chain, not be able to target Spell Shield troops in the graveyard. It was just a big pain, and it wasn't working as intended. Now it
Yeah,
should
that this is my second favorite fix they made for gameplay fixes so far. I mean, that to me is really good. There's so many things that need to fix. I mean, so many card interactions and now open up for you able to do. So I'm pretty happy about that. That makes me very happy.
be. It was actually pretty funny before they changed the Curse of Oblivion.
Yeah,
You wouldn't be able to even take Spell Shield troops out of their deck.
yeah. You don't even didn't even see them.
It was crazy.
You could take Beetle because it is the games are coded like center play, which they
Yeah.
didn't fix yet, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping to do that at some point.
But
All
yeah,
right,
it's a
so
pretty good change.
Soul Marble now correctly displays the counters it gains, so you don't have to keep track of it yourself anymore.
Yeah,
That's
with my pen and my notebook
Yeah.
where I had all
Right,
the Marvel counters.
Right, my notepad and pen will now be used even less. That's great.
Yeah,
Plus, I won't be sitting there going, "Man, did I remember to write that one down last turn? How many times
Yeah.
did he activate it?" That's great.
Yeah. I don't know if you see it, but I have like pages and pages full of numbers with the Marvel stocks. So
That's pretty funny.
yeah, just because I cannot keep track of it, and it's just like kind of huge. So
So, next up, gems now graphically save in Deck Manager between games in a match. That'll be. I mean, that's nice. You used to not know if your gems actually got saved or not,
yeah,
just because they
that
wouldn't show up.
actually was pretty big because it drive me crazy sometimes. Because
Yeah.
you saw there's not there and then just put it again and you don't see it and it's nice.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple times where I'd have to load the deck, click on the card, double check to see if they're in there, and a lot of times, a new patch would hit, and I'd have to go in and resocket my gems. It'd just be so nice if I could just look at the deck and just know they're there. So this is a cool fix.
The thing is
Yeah.
that the gems were in, but you didn't see them, so you use resocket them and stuff like that.
yeah. Or you would go to socket them, but it didn't show they were in the first place. But when you go to socket, it accidentally takes them out.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah. That's,
it was really awkward. Hopefully that's all gone now.
Yeah, I've thrown my hands up in the air in a few games for not knowing something was there or not there. I added, didn't add, so that's cool. Yeah, I mean, these are little things that they needed to fix. So
Yeah.
that's great.
Next up, players can now have more than 4 of the same card in sealed tournaments. I'm assuming that'll apply to draft as well once we get to that. It's always nice. In limited, you're not bound to the 4 of a certain card rule. It's just a nice little thing to have.
yeah.
I've only ever had once, and that was the first time I played where I had 5 cards where I was able to use, and I didn't even try to put 5 in, so I didn't even know that was a thing until I saw this. So, man, that's cool. Sure.
Yeah,
I
I had
remember.
one chill pool where I had a Greylock and 5 wild growths. The thing is, I didn't have any other wild cards. Yeah, well, it was unfortunate. I couldn't do silly stuff with it.
Yeah, I haven't come across 5 of a certain card in these sealed tournaments yet, but I have come across that in Magic before, and it was
I
definitely nice to have the not limited to 4 rule
I
inside limited.
think Havoc got like 5 Thunderbirds in one seal pool.
Oh
Something
yeah,
like that. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
yeah. All right. Next up, decks are created for players that do not successfully create a deck in sealed tournaments. So, somebody not making a deck will not cause the tournament to freeze or whatever anymore.
Yeah,
You'll
they
just,
just
I believe what it does is it just
puts all
puts
your
all of
cards.
your
Yeah,
cards and it makes that your deck. So,
correct. I think that's already implemented because Havoc happened once to Havoc like
yeah,
yesterday or the day before.
yeah, I remember
So
that.
Yeah, I didn't
You
actually
tapped
understand
out,
what they were
forgot.
talking about until I checked it out because I didn't understand what it is they were solving. But that's really that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
if
one of the issues
you're
was
just not there, don't save your deck.
yeah, that was one of the issues that people didn't save your deck and it just froze the tournament because there was like one invalid deck. So yeah, little by little we get improved the stability.
Yeah,
All right, let's get to the next one. This is one I'm super excited about.
yeah. Next one's pretty big. The one that we've been waiting for 2 months now. Infernal Professor's granted ability no longer triggers after the selected card leaves your hand.
Oh my goodness, this is so excited. This is the biggest one I've seen yet. I wanted to run an Infernal Professor deck for months now. I remember being on playing against you while you were streaming, Karn, and I'm like, man, I am gonna make this card work despite the failures. Now that it works, man, I'm really excited. I can't wait. This is great. This is like Christmas.
Yeah, I was so excited when I saw this card first spoiled, and then when it was bugged out the very first day, I was just like, I was sad. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to actually be able to use this card now and not have it deal 2 to me every turn and just kill me. So
yeah.
that'll be
Don't
nice.
get a Shard of Fate and kill you because of the Shard of Fate.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
Yeah,
that we got another card in this patch.
this is great. I have like 2 or 3 decks now that I'm going to be immediately jumping on and playing. I'm actually more excited about this fixed because to me this means the card just came out. Like that's the
yeah,
way I feel because I haven't been able to use it or utilize it in the right way. So you might as well just put this on the list as the 5th card that got spoiled today because
yeah,
I have so many things I am excited to do.
yeah. Definitely, I agree with that all the way. So next up, Prime Ruby of Destruction no longer incorrectly resolves without the required threshold. So that'll be really nice
Yep.
because sometimes you were just like left in this awkward position where you had your Inquisitor with your gem in it, and you needed to play a 3/1, but
Yeah.
you didn't have your threshold, and so if you played it, you would accidentally kill their guy without your threshold, and it was just like not working as intended at all. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, that'll be nice to actually be able to do that and not feel really bad about it.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a deck I didn't play in the tournament because I had some of these issues where a lot of times I would get it out and I get things out and not have that threshold, and I'd be like, well, that's really just not fair, and I'd feel bad using it. So a lot of times I'd let a card sit in my hand, knowing that it's playable, knowing I shouldn't get the bonus because I didn't have the other threshold out, and I didn't want to feel like I'm cheating that person. But in a sense, I was cheating myself because I wasn't able to play that card when I could without the threshold. So, yeah, that's a good fix. That's something that needs to happen too, and I'm happy for it.
Yeah. And so the same threshold fix on the Sapphire of the Mind?
And
Was
that's
that the...
actually huge. That's the draw card.
Oh, that was the draw card.
Yeah, and I'm super happy of this because people just grab your Dreamer with the Euronat and they start drawing cards with the Dreamer, and it wouldn't be possible. So
Oh, yeah.
and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
that needed to be fixed too. That was a problem. Like I had a couple games where I played. I'm like, well, you shouldn't have drawn that card. You shouldn't have pulled that thing because you didn't actually have the other one. And the guy who's winning doesn't want to hear that. He doesn't give a flying crap about it. So it's like, well, now it's great that they actually fixed it, so I don't have to be a sore loser.
Yeah.
But I was more concerned. That happened too, but I was more concerned with stuff like Urinat or Relentless Corruption. That people just get cards from your deck, and they just play them, and the gem triggers when it shouldn't, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which was super annoying,
Yeah,
especially with that gem.
completely understand that. So, along with the gem pattern, transforming a card with a gem in it no longer will prevent the game from continuing. So, if you would use Dingler on a gemmed creature, it would just freeze the game.
Angelica Station to the Protector Defender all day card. All day.
Yeah.
So good. I won so many games with that deck because of that.
So
Yeah,
that
it's a good fix.
yeah. I mean, it's a good fix. Nothing more to say about that.
Yeah.
Next up is actually a really big thing. Inquisition can now be cast even if the opponent only has resources in their hand. Before, if your opponent only had resources, you wouldn't even be able to play the card. So you say you didn't even know what their hand was, but they have 3 cards in their hand. You would automatically know they had all resources just because you couldn't cast your Inquisition, and that was definitely wrong.
Yeah, and that added information is definitely big. Like the previous Curse version, you could leave Curse in your hand and pretend activating it to look through their deck. And in the same sense, I think in a much more minor way, Inquisition worked. You could basically know if your opponent had no playable cards that you could target with it. And that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have cards in this game that give you free information. This shouldn't be that way.
I didn't know that book was there, so is it not?
Yeah,
That
it's happened a few times.
Yeah, I've
I
been
was pretty
running
upset
mono
when it
black.
happened for my opponent.
Yeah, I've been running mono black for a while, and just to play with it and see how I can make it work. And if I'd be sitting on 2 Inquisitions, and they'd have 2 cards in hand, one Inquisition, none of them will work. I'm like, oh, what the heck's going on? So you find out that they have 2, those in their hand. And from that point on, man, I know exactly what's going on. I'm like, oh, you drew a card, and guess what? It's still land, so I'm in a good position still. And that added information makes or breaks a game. There goes a bluff.
Yeah, it actually happened to me in the tournament. My opponent told me, I can't play my Inquisition because you have 2 resources in your hand.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah. Because after one point you just gave the resources in your hand when you are top decking. Just playing the resources.
I was trying to bluff something, but
yeah.
as soon as that happened, I knew it didn't matter.
Yeah, you want to make the argument that doesn't happen very often, but you're looking at 26 resources in a deck. You're looking at, just under 50%, 33 to 50% of your deck is gems and shards, whatever, and that happens. That's going to happen if they're running 4 of them. Its chances are high. That basically makes it so that card is bad information, gives bad information. So yeah, great fix.
And now it's also not only does it not give them free information, but now they actually have to play the card and potentially not get anything out of it.
Yeah.
Like, sure, they'll be paying a card and 2 mana for the information, but they aren't going to get a card out of it. So that's...
Yeah, they're going to have to, if they want that, normally they were getting that information for free, now they got to pay for it. So hey, that's good with me. That's what the card's for.
Yeah, that's what it should have been doing the whole time.
Yep.
So, next up, Frost Wizard no longer incorrectly counters all abilities on the chain. I had no idea it did that.
Nope.
That sounds pretty crazy.
The thing
Yep,
is
that sounds like something I would have loved to have abused.
Yeah, the thing is that Frost Wizard didn't work before, so I guess people didn't play it.
Yeah. Does anyone know if Frost Wizard is working now?
I
really would like to.
I want to test it as soon as we end this.
Yeah,
I think this highlights a bigger issue, though. I think this shows that there's still a lot of issues with the chain and the stack, whatever, and how it works, and having multiple cards. And they need to fix that larger issue more than anything, like not being able to counter a counter, not being able to respond with certain effects once you're at a 3rd ability or a 3rd thing on the stack. There's a lot of problems with that need to be addressed, and that's just a card fix and not something that we need. We need the bigger fix.
Yeah, they need a big fix on the chain.
And please get most of the triggers back into the stack.
Yeah, I would like everything on the chain, always.
Rage
is probably okay. Despair is probably okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing a Blood Sapphire, and I dropped Extinction. He went to counter. I was more than happy to counter his counter, but I couldn't. And there goes that whole
Yeah.
game. Because basically that meant either I win or I lose. So yeah, things
Yeah.
like this need to be fixed. So Wizard, hey, great! I'm glad they fixed it. Please move on and fix the bigger problem.
Yeah. Or I mean, at least fix so you can have a counter third on the stack. Like that's a huge thing right now, and it has been for a long time.
Yep.
Next up, card stats are no longer reverted when they're brought back from the graveyard. So it's a nice thing.
Yeah, it's just Euronath fix, pretty much.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
the
not
grave.
fix.
Well, I mean, a Shepherd to a degree, but
I can think of a few situations where that was a problem. I mean, I'm having a bunch of stats issues with the graveyard anyway, with cards that I know the Inquisitor. If I have like the gem that attached that gives it rage. Well, whenever it's killed, every time I bring it back, I attack with it. Instead of getting a +1, it's getting like a +2 or +3.
Yeah,
there's definitely a lot
that's
of graveyard
because,
interactions. Bad.
That's due to the fact that the gems are triggered every time it enters play, so it's actually
Right.
getting rage 1 again.
Right.
That's not a graveyard thing. That's a gem thing.
Yeah, I mean, so the examples. I mean, there's so many abilities that have issues with when they come into play or when they run after the graveyards.
Yeah,
One fix.
there's a bunch of abilities. It seems like they should just be like constant abilities that are just there in all zones, but
Mhm.
they're really just coded as it
Enter
applies when they enter play. And
Yeah, they're an
that's not how
interaction
it
and
should
not a printed ability. And the game, so hey, if they can come, there's like this is a down on my list of things they need to fix, but it's still something that obviously should happen, hopefully sooner than later. But it's cool to see that they're kind of addressing some of these issues with graveyard interactions. So it just seems like they had an answer for this one, but they're working on the larger problem. So that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
because
they're fixing a few
Inquisitor is
things
still
like
super buggy in the right conditions.
Yeah. All right, next. Troops are no longer stuck in a recalculating state when reversion is played on them. That's actually a big deal. I've had a couple of times where it was just like, like my card stats were actually incorrect.
Yeah.
Or my opponents were when they reverted them, and it just like constantly changed, and you never knew what it actually was, or if it was actually bugged or
I
not.
think happened to you in a game with Seal with a Wild Aura or something like that, and it happened for like the one turn it had the Wild Aura, but then it didn't
Yeah.
show and it didn't have it, and some turn you have it. It was so weird.
Yeah, it was really awkward. So yeah, that's a good fix.
Yeah, let's be
next-
honest. Any fix they make that doesn't break the game, where it did break the game before and now it doesn't, that's great because
Yeah.
stability and everything are still an issue that I'm glad they're working on. So that's cool.
Yeah, definitely happy about all of these. The next one's actually a lot bigger than it sounds. Protector Defender's effect no longer costs 1 resource when it's destroyed.
Yep.
Before, Protector Defender gets shuffled into your deck. It's a one-shot once it dies. And it would actually take up 1 of your resources. But if you had 0 resources, it would still work. So we knew that it wasn't supposed to be taking up the 1 resource to do that. And you would just like... It would make it so you had to play everything your first main phase before attacking. Otherwise, you would lose a resource.
Yeah, you could potentially lose a resource and completely destroy your turn. It happened quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a good fix. I have a couple decks now that I'd be happy to play it in more often or at all for that matter. So that's nifty. Good job.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for the last change.
Yeah, the last change is possibly going to make a new archetype viable.
Yeah.
Or an old archetype that was kind of broken, not broken. The Prime Ruby of Intensity now resolves in the correct order. That was the Ruby gem that read when you deal combat damage
No,
to an
just
opponent.
damage. It doesn't need to be combat
Or,
damage.
yeah, just damage. You would... What was it? Each player would draw 3 cards, then discard 3 cards?
That's what
or,
happened. But what we actually read is they discard their hand and draw 3 cards.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so both players would discard their whole hands and then draw 3 cards is how it's supposed to work.
Yep.
But previously it would be both players draw 3 cards and then discard their hands. And that was not...
Yeah. Like,
That was
oh, wow,
not
look
good.
at all these great cards that I got. Well, that great one I just got's going to go away because this card doesn't work right.
Yeah, so that'll be working correctly now. And it'll actually be pretty nice, I think. You can run it in something like a a Ruby Sapphire mill deck and have like Twisted Fate and Cerebral Fulmination and all that.
Yeah. It also combos really nicely with Castigator.
Yeah,
It's just like the Gracious Rumaging, but a
yeah,
little bit different.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the playability of that now that it's working is huge. Like I put that just under my Infernal Professor, but that's only because I love Infernal Professor. But yeah, that's a big deal. That makes a lot of things more smoother. There's deck archetypes that open up. There's playability that wasn't there before. That's a big effect.
yeah. I'm not sure this gem is actually like super competitive, or if any decks that it's in are going to be tier 1. But you can probably get some tier 2 decks out of it, or just have a lot of fun with it, even.
I think it's pretty good. Maybe not right now, but it's pretty good because we are seeing quite the hand hate in the last few patches with Inquisition and this one. So now the stuff that is in your hand is no longer safe at
Yeah,
all.
it's true.
So for example, if you're playing against Control and they have, I don't know, like 5 turns with Secret Lab, you get a 1 attack in, you just destroy them. Because they probably have like 2 Siphons and stuff like that. It's just
Yeah.
brutal.
That would actually be pretty funny to see a Ruby Blood deck with like Inquisition, Crazed Rummaging, this gem. You just have like none of the cards that you think you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially if somebody's sitting on 2 cards for a bunch of turns, and you know they're basically at this point probably top decking a few things. You're wondering what in the world they've been sitting on this whole game, and you wipe it. That the gratification of that would be huge. Not to mention, you have all those new cards now where you're looking to get 3 of these guys out, or you're searching for cards, or there's things you're trying to get, and to take those out of hand. I mean, I don't know how it's going to be used yet, but it just seems like this fix could lead to a lot of really fun things.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be fun stuff.
Yeah. The thing is also that this game is like super good with in aggro decks. The thing is that there are not really good aggro decks with Ruby and minor sockets in low costed cards. Because it just means that you don't ever run out of gas in an aggro deck, which is super good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, comparing it even with a burn deck, if you're looking for a deck where you're part split between creatures and burn to try to get a nice balance of like a red deck wins, and you get that out, and the cards you're looking at in hand aren't the advantage you're looking for, so it moves the deck style around, it changes it up. You could have a hand of all creatures that do you no good, and now you're looking at a hand of all zaps, which are perfect. So definitely there's some things that this could be good for.
Yeah, you
Unfortunately, though,
Oh.
unfortunately, we don't have the Ruby creature with the major socket in it yet, so you have to be running 2 color.
Yeah,
You can't
that's
just have
really
mono.
the big part of it right now. And I have to wonder when we're going to see a Ruby Major. So, hey.
We
we'll see.
already know what the Ruby Major is.
Yeah, we do know what the card is. It just
we
hasn't
know what
come
it
out
is.
yet.
The thing is that the major gems right now, there's one per color. I don't know if there's going to be an artifact one, but most of them are pretty high costed. So that's a little bit unfortunate for the aggro stuff, but oh well.
Yeah.
So those are the fixes there.
And that just about covers it. I mean, there's a couple known issues. Reversion does not destroy Honeycap. Mushwaki's increased stats are temporary instead of permanent. And the Proving Grounds header isn't quite bold.
I'm sure there's a graphic designer out there that was just screaming about that being super bold, and now it's fixed so he can sleep at night. But yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
There's one thing to note that it says reversion and it's not in italics, so it's not just the card reversion, but if you sacrifice a truth to Ball Pop Bunny, it still doesn't
that's
kill
true.
it.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
It's just like nothing major, but maybe someone that sees this happens to him, so
Yeah.
careful with that.
Yeah, Honeycap has some bad interactions with things, and it's nice to see they're kind of capping some of the things that weren't so good.
Yeah, if anyone wants to apply to the Hex moderator stuff, there's one question that for the gameplay rules that it talks about Honeycap. Let's say it bounces back into your hand, and what happens when you replay it again? That is that you get the double. Well, not double, but
Yeah, you get it again.
yeah, because it's when enters play.
Yeah.
Right. I had some issues when I was playing that Mono Sapphire in the first few rounds, where I know you, Karn, you ended up, I believe, losing to green with it, or maybe it was the other way around. But I know where I was playing it, and you're like, well, I can bounce this back, but I'm just gonna have to deal with something worse next turn. So what are my options? So that playing out right would be really nice.
Yeah, the honey cap is nice against Sapphire because they don't really want to bounce it. Oh, they don't want to bounce it much. Because if they
Yeah,
bounce it like just once, it's just going to be super big. And
yeah,
they're
they
still on the ground, but
basically have to not bounce it or bounce it and then win immediately.
yeah.
Yeah, so that card's still an issue, but it's nice to see that that's being approached.
Yeah.
So I think
So
it's all over. So if Golden
yeah,
you
that's the
want
end.
to promote yourself or stuff, go ahead.
Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'll be hopefully launching my new podcast here for this. Actually, it's kind of interesting. I'm launching a series of podcasts, so it's a lot of work getting these things going. But I will be starting a podcast called the Hex Engine soon. So I'm looking for a co-host out there in the wide world of Hex. So I had somebody lined up, but their schedule just doesn't fit. So I'll be looking for hopefully a co-host soon. So I'm hoping to launch that by the end of February. I was debating about holding off till beta hits, but I think I want to get about 4 or 5 episodes in before closed beta starts up. So yeah, I'm happy to push the Hex Engine. You guys can follow me on from Twitch with Golden Saucer Guy or the Hex Engine. I'm going to probably start streaming from the Hex Engine instead of Golden Saucer Guy. I'll probably start to phase out the Golden Saucer Guy name, but outside of that, yeah, please listen. I will hopefully be launching soon.
Yeah, sounds good. It's nice to have you on, and
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely
thanks
great to
everybody
be on.
for
I definitely it's kind of cool seeing this from the other side. Normally, I'm a listener contributing in the chat. Now I get to talk a bunch.
yeah, and thanks everybody for coming by and checking out the patch review.
just one last thing. Uh, and there's probably tomorrow. It's going to be a post by Cyrus in the forums about a tournament that is going to be featured in dual view with a really sweet trailer, which I cannot put it right now on because it will completely destroy the cameras. But yeah, be sure to check it out because Cyrus has put a ton of work in there, and it's super
Yeah,
cool.
it's going to be a really sweet tournament.
Yeah, we are aiming for shoutcast matches live. Going to feature, I think it's the first weekend of March.
Yeah, it's the 1st and 2nd of March, I believe.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I got my team together. I know one of the people on the team will end up being Mantic, so it'll be really cool. I'm really excited for that. That's great. Team Hex Engine's going to take this one.
Yeah,
I'll go with the Hextech teams that is going to take it, and that I know Karn is part of. So
yeah, we'll be battling it out.
you better win.
I hope so. We're gonna need a little more
Yeah,
luck than I got in this Hex TCG Pro tournament.
Yeah, I got to figure out where my team's captain as far as myself, where I'm going to be. Am I going to be A, B, or C? I mean, who do I want to play? I mean, are you guys going to keep it a secret as to who A, B, and C is until the thing opens up, so we don't know? We're not like trying to match up against each other or anything.
Not sure yet.
Yeah,
I think we'll have to talk over a few details.
yeah, it's not
but
completely set in stone. The teams I think they are completely done, but the
Yeah.
rules are not completely done. We
Yeah,
need to get
cool.
some things over.
Yeah, this is actually pretty big. I mean, it's not obviously like the 187-man tournament thing, but just to have something with this kind of coverage and this style of, showing both sides and everything, that's so cool. You guys have definitely done something really awesome with this, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're definitely excited to actually do it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work because we really wanted to do it like this weekend, but was just too much work, and you had to push it further behind, which is unfortunate. But
Yeah, and working out schedules with
yeah,
all 12, 14 people
yeah,
is quite a bit. So anyway,
Yeah, I mean, I know the matches will be tough to get everything going and have all the stuff going for it, but I mean, I have seen some of the preview stuff that Cyrus has done, and I'm really excited. It's going to be so cool to do all this with you guys. So, thank you again for letting me guys.
Yeah, we'll have the info for all that up on the forums sometime tomorrow, most likely.
yeah.
So everybody can check that out.
Maybe I can get the video. Just 1 second. I'll try. I have to check my history on the internet, so if you can talk of something while I search it.
Sure. So I guess one of the things I wanted to just ask about, I know, Karn, you'll have a lot of comments on this too, is just overall patch quality. We've seen in the last couple of weeks that the style and quality of the patches have been going up. Where before, you're looking at 7 or 8 cards that have minor impact on the game. We're looking at starting now, we're having 3 or 4 cards that have a huge impact on the game, as well as new modes and everything. I'm not sure how many cards we have left to preview, but I want to maybe a comment from you just about the size and scope of how these patches have really been growing lately.
Yeah, I mean they're really getting down to like they've gone through most of the little fixes and all that, and they're getting down to the stuff that's actually harder to fix and makes more an impact on the game. Um, and the same goes for the new cards. Pretty much the only cards that they have left are the ones that are the hardest to code into the game, which means that they're going to be doing something special. It's not just going to be, getting some random, whatever, 2/2 for 2 that has no abilities, You're actually going to be getting these complicated, 3-part transforms or the Doppel gadget that has like so many weird interactions and all that stuff. So I think any cards that we get from now on are definitely going to be these ones with really unique abilities that we can look forward to actually using in constructed, just because of the fact that nothing else is like them. You know.
Right. It's cool too because you see things like sealed being added, and I had a feeling when they added sealed, they weren't adding it because it was perfect and polished, but because this is an area where we could be seeing a whole lot of problems with interactions and things. They wanted to iron some of these things out now, and just the fact that we're seeing things now that show up that we're like, hey, this is going to cause some problems on day one. Hey, this is alpha. We know this is going to be something. We want to polish this out. To see these larger things showing up now, I think leads us to believe that closed beta is in fact coming a lot sooner than we expected, and that they really are on track and they're doing great things still. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how these patches roll out and how every patch seems to have more and bigger complicated things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the start of the October, I thought that it was probably the time that we'll have the slacker backer scene, not so ahead and so close to beta. I'm really surprised by the pace they are doing the stuff, and it's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm a Slacker backer. I missed it by a day or two to get in on it. I was going to buy a friend's $250 level one, and he was like, well, I want like $1,500 for it. And I'm like, well, you can keep it. So, and I was really happy to get a Slacker backer, and I thought, man, I'm never going to get in till like, March, April, May. And to get dropped when I did and immediately jump in and be welcome part of the community was great. So yeah, really excited. I'm so happy to see where they're going. I am not one of those people in the forum that complains about how the terrible state of things. I avoid the forums at all costs. The negativity there is so big. But yeah, this is great. I mean, they're moving along really well, and I'm very happy for them.
I have the video ready, so let's just
Lay it on us.
see if I can get it.
You're mute us.
Yeah, just be quiet.
All right.
Fine, I'll shut up.